This is not a virus. This is not COVID-19. It's not the flu. It's a plague. Okay? It's a plague. You, your grandma, the people you love are all exposed to it. You're all in jeopardy because we don't know the first thing about this. Every article that I have read has told us that we don't know the first thing about this virus. So I want to speak to that for a moment because I have another jam. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a step aside for a moment and I want you to think about this. I want you to do some serious soul searching. I'm going to take a break for about 25, 30 seconds. I want you to use this time. And I want you to use it. And I want you to think about everyone you love. And I'm not talking about the people who are vulnerable because I don't know what that means. Of course those people are going to be vulnerable to anything in nursing homes or whatever. I want you to really think about, though, all of the loved ones that you have. Every person that you love in this environment. And I want you to think about, and then when you're done thinking about it, I want you to think about what their life matters. Because if it doesn't matter, hey, let's keep this thing open. Let's keep it rolling. But if it matters, and I think it does, I want you to think about what their life means. And we're going to come back here after this break, and we're going to get into some nitty-gritty ideas or thoughts. All right, I am back. Wanted to talk a little bit about. You had some time to think about the question I just put forward, and I want to just say this about the people that you love and the people that you care for who are fighting on this issue. And what I want to say is very simple: they are in danger right now. And what is happening in some of these other states is despicable. And I wish I could rage loud enough. But the fact of the matter is we're in a country born and bred on the concept. It's a very simple concept, and it goes back to Ayn Rand. It goes back to the Russian phobias of 1919. It goes back to the McCarthyism of 1952, 53. It goes back through a whole load of history that if you don't know this history, fortunately for you, there's no excuse. You can look up McCarthyism, you can look up the Red Scares, and you'll get all of it. This country went from being sane and rational to being hyper-individualistic over everything. And that's where we are today. And until we reject individualism, until we reject it and understand that we're all in this together, people are going to die. And people are going to die because, just like we've seen in the protests in some of these other areas, there's always going to be a percentage of people who will get together and go to the Capitol and do that stuff where they force governors and different people to reopen the country, and they don't give two cares about the body bags that pile up. And even if it's some of their friends or some of the people they love, they don't care. And that's going to be a percentage of the population. And what we did was the worst possible thing. We stood aside. And frankly, our political leaders failed us. Joe Biden can barely string a sentence together at this point. He stood on the sidelines. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, who are darlings of the left, they stood on the sidelines. Nobody is acting with any type of leadership and urgency right now. We should not be opening the country up because what we're doing is we are creating a situation where the rebound effect will happen and it will kill people. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, everyone. All right, we're going to transition to some happier topics here. And I just wanted to finish that out. I thank everybody for their patience. So let's talk happy or proud. On sorry, I'm pulling up an article here. So whenever you hear me stuttering, it's because I'm pulling up that article. So essential workers united for May Day. This was massive. Workers from Amazon, Instacart, Ship, Target, and Whole Foods are protesting company responses to COVID-19. This was huge. This was massive. This was one of the greatest strikes in human history. And I gotta say it, and I want to say it now. I want to say it from the bottom of my heart. Those people are heroes. So as we talk about some of the numbskull politicians and their worthless decrees that came forward because a couple people showed up to the to their state capitals in Michigan and other places with guns. As we talk about that, we need to talk about the real heroes in all this, which is the workers who are saying, "You're sending me out to go die. You are sending me to drop dead. And we ain't taking it no more." And these workers are heroes. These workers are heroes. They fought. And some people go, "Well, it wasn't the majority of the workplace." Okay, let me give you some historical context about the majority of the workplace, because I want you to understand it. In 1962, or whatever those dates are in the 60s, the Freedom Riders pulled at about 21-22% when they were fighting for equality, fighting for people to be treated as equal citizens under the law. By 1964, a law gets passed that allows African Americans and other people civil rights and the right to vote, as well as many other rights. Was it perfect? No. But it pulled at 22%. I need you to drill that into your head tonight. 22% said that this is worth fighting for. Everyone else said, "Oh, we're too scared. We don't want to be freedom riders. We don't want to stand for equality." And that's okay. I understand it. I get it. I get the fear. But if you're going to do that, how dare you? If you're going to sit there and say, "Things never change. Nothing ever happens." BS. BS. I've been alive 40 years, and I've seen a 9/11, and now I've seen a pandemic. I was born into the world of PACO, and if you don't have Wikipedia, go check out PACO, the air traffic controller strike. All this knowledge is at your fingertips. At this point in time, human beings choose to be willfully stupid if they have internet access. Now, for those people who don't have that or who are technologically not inclined, I understand that. But generally speaking, the vast majority of people, you've got a computer at your hands at all time with a database called Wikipedia that maybe it doesn't have the correct answers to everything, but darn it, it's a good starting block. You literally can search for any of this stuff. And by the way, most of the information you get is probably pretty spot on. We aren't the serfs of the 14th century who just had a printing press. It was a big achievement that they could get a Bible printed that they could actually read. We aren't dealing with that. We're actually on the opposite end. There's so much information out there, you can find it. But the problem is people don't know how to make sense of a lot of that. So let me make sense of it for you for a moment. These workers that I just talked about are heroes. And yeah, it may not have been big. And company spokespeople are like, "It's just a tiny bit of the workforce." Well, no doubt. No doubt. But they got press coverage. You can't argue with them there. They got the press out there. You can't say to them that they didn't get coverage. My wife, who is generally pretty apolitical, came up to me and said, "Hey, we're not buying from Amazon today." It got coverage. It got coverage. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? I don't know. But I know this, is that those workers who struck, I don't care how many your numbers are, bless your heart, you did something great for humanity. So we're going to step aside right now. We're going to talk some more about some of this stuff. We got a special public service announcement that we're going to do. And we'll kind of go into the Organize This segment. So we have two new segments called Public Service Announcement and Organize This, so hang tight. Hello everyone, my name is Toby Green, Union Buster from Union Busters R Us. And I just wanted to tell you that I've been hearing a lot about these rabble-rousers and troublemakers who want to talk about the union and organizing a union to fight for better wages, hours, and benefits. But I need to tell you something right now, that those people are wrong. Because here at Corporate Co, I want to tell you that we value innovation. Now, it's true that we will not give you safety equipment when you drop those foods off at your door, at the customer's door. Now, it's true that our warehouses are nothing more than glorified petri dishes. But let us ask you, if you had a union, if you set aside all your differences to unite around wages, hours, and benefits, and working conditions, have you stopped to think about how that would stifle our innovation when suddenly you're paid correctly? When you're got benefits and you've got correct hours, and most importantly, you're treated with respect. And when there's a workplace conflict that comes up, you can quickly solve that. Have we talked about that? No, we haven't. Because here at Corporate Co, we are about the shareholders. And we're about the stocks. And as long as the stock market cares about us, that's all we care about. I'm Toby Green, and this is your public service announcement. All right, public service announcement is over. Wanted to quickly segue into Organize Now. Now, I'm trying to do this part of the podcast. I'm going to keep working on, try to get it right. But basically, Organize Now is this. It's about setting aside our differences. See, everywhere in our society right now wants to pit us against each other. Right and left. Pro-Biden, anti-Biden, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, pro-Democrat, anti-Democrat, pro-Republican, anti-Republican. It's all a game to marginalize people and keep us fighting amongst each other. It's a game, by the way. Hello, CIA. It's a game. We know you're out there. Your job is to divide. You go do your best. Our job, if you are a person who cares compassionately, is to unite people. To set aside the things that make us different and to bring forward the things that unite us. That's all your job is. So if the things that unite people is to work on, if people feel they're underpaid, then focus on that. We don't care about gun rights or a lot of that other stuff. Now, somebody will say, well, what about sexuality? What about gay rights? What about blah, 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 blah? What about all these different rights that need to be addressed? We care about those, but we care about those in the context of the fact that when you don't care about those, it divides the workplace. So suddenly the gay worker, the immigrant, the Democrat, the whoever you want to say it is, whatever divide you want to put to, the African American, the Hispanic, the Jew, whatever divide you want to put forward, when they are marginalized and their specific concerns aren't dealt with or handled, what it does is ultimately it divides the workplace up. So if you are a progressive and you are somebody who's in favor of uniting the left, you cannot do this until you take those very real issues and you get down to the bottom line and brass tacks. And the bottom line and brass tacks is this, is that all of those folks who have qualifiers that are basically not white males, to be blunt, all of those folks in every union contract I've ever seen, every wage, every whatever, they're never referred to by name. They're never referred to because the concept is that if you're doing the work, you get paid for the work you do. It's what fairness is called. If you are an African American, you're next to a white worker and you're both doing the same job, you both should be paid the same wage. Now, some people and some activists would say, well, let's look at the African American. Let's look at these other workers, and what about the harm and the things that they have endured rightfully? And what I mean by rightfully, I mean in American history, they have endured these things.